You ever stop and wonder what's really going on inside an animal's mind? Like, what do they actually perceive about the world? And maybe more importantly, about us? Well, let's dive into what science is starting to uncover, because trust me, the reality is way more fascinating than we ever imagined.
I mean, you know that feeling, right? You get home after just a terrible day, you're feeling down, and your dog or your cat, they just seem to get it. They know exactly what you need. It's this deep intuition that they understand us on some other level. But is that all in our heads? Are we just wishing it were true?
Well, for a long, long time, the standard belief was that animals were just simple, that everything they did was driven by instinct. But oh man, the new science is painting a completely different picture, a much richer one. And it turns out that gut feeling you have about your pet, it's not just a feeling. It's actually pointing towards this incredibly complex awareness that we are only just beginning to wrap our heads around.
Okay, so let's talk about that new science. The last few decades have sparked a total revolution in how we study animal minds. And honestly, the results have been absolutely mind-blowing.
Think about things like problem solving, right? Or remembering specific places, recognizing different individuals, even forming really strong social bonds. For the longest time, we thought, hey, that's a human thing. That's what makes us special. But nope, study after study has just blown that idea out of the water. We now know that tons of other species are capable of all this complex mental work.
And it goes way beyond just knowing who we are. They are so sensitive to our nonverbal cues. I mean, they're picking up on the tiniest shifts in our body language, the tone of our voice, even our emotional state. It's like they're reading our energy.
A perfect example? Dogs. Just think about it for a second. Thousands of years of living alongside us has turned them into expert human watchers. They can literally tell the difference between a real smile and a fake one. They know what it means when we point at something. Their whole world is just filled with all these signals that we're sending out all the time.
But being able to read our obvious cues, that's really just scratching the surface. The part that's truly wild is how they seem to perceive the signals we don't even know we're sending. It's like a silent language. And this really gets to the heart of it, right? Can they perceive signals that are even more subtle? Things like our patterns of behavior, or even our emotional energy. Can they actually sense what we're going to do before we even do it? So, to dig into this, a researcher named Rupert Sheldrake did some really fascinating, though pretty controversial studies. He documented hundreds, and I mean hundreds of cases of pets who seemed to know exactly when their owner was on their way home. And we're not talking about hearing the car pull up. No. These animals would go wait by the door minutes before their person had even decided to leave the office, sometimes miles and miles away. Okay, so it is super important to say that the scientific community is pretty split on this. Skeptics will say, well, maybe it's just routine or super subtle cues we don't notice. And maybe they're right. But here's the real value of that research. No matter what the explanation is, it totally pushed the boundaries. It forced everyone to start asking these bigger, deeper questions about how perceptive animals really are. And all of those questions, they lead us to what might be the biggest insight of all. This isn't just about how smart or perceptive animals are. It's really about a deep, unspoken connection that we all share with them. All right, so we've pretty much established that animals are incredible observers, right? They're picking up on all these subtle signals we're putting out there. And here's the kicker. The reason they're so good at it is because we are constantly broadcasting those signals, usually without even realizing it. A huge chunk of our most honest communication is happening completely under the radar of our own conscious minds. I'm talking about things like micro-expressions, those tiny little facial movements that give away how we really feel. It's in the way we hold ourselves, our posture. It's in these little emotional cues we might not even notice in ourselves. It's even in our patterns of attention, like what we look at and for how long. We are basically open books, broadcasting our inner state. And animals, well, they're fluent in the language. So, okay, what do we do with all this? How does this change things? How should it change the way we see the animals we share our lives and our planet with? I think this quote really sums it all up. This isn't some fringe idea anymore. It's pretty much the modern scientific consensus. We're living alongside beings that have rich inner lives and a really deep awareness of everything going on around them. And this new understanding really calls for a whole new approach from us, doesn't it? It means we should be offering them greater respect, right? We should deepen our curiosity about what their world is like. And we need to really increase our own sensitivity to those silent conversations that we're having with them every single day.
You know, the more we learn, the more it feels like we've only just scratched the surface. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If this is the silent language we're only now starting to tune into, what other incredible conversations are happening all around us, right now, just waiting for us to learn how to listen?